Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have signed a new defense deal where they're going to work together on training, weapons production and security. Hello and welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nankyolier, and in this video, we will understand the implications of this deal on Pakistan, Saudi Arabia as well as on India. So on 17 September, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and the PM of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, they came together and they signed a new defense deal, which is primarily going to focus on joint military training, defense production, counter-terrorism and security assistance. This is what the deal claims. So majorly it is going to focus on hosting joint military exercises or sharing technological know-how with each other or co-production of weapons, etc. But we also need to be mindful of the timing of this deal here. Because if you recall, on 9th of September, Israel had launched an airstrike on the Hamas leaders present in Doha, Qatar. So despite the presence of a large US base in Doha, the Al Udeid base, despite the presence of that, Israel was not hindered from attacking or launching an airstrike on Doha. So this deal between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is also seen as a way of these Gulf countries of diversifying their security provider options. Because up till now, US was the main security guarantor in the Gulf region, and with this deal, these countries, they are wanting to diversify their security provider options, because at times US is seen as an unreliable partner here, because reports say that Qatar was not warned, not enough intelligence and warning was provided from the US to warn it from the attack that could happen from Israel. So this unreliability has to be countered, and for that also this deal is being seen as a move to counter that kind of unreliability and diversify the security provider options for the Gulf regions. Now let us look at the highlights of the agreement, meaning what is Saudi going to gain and what is Pakistan going to gain out of this agreement. So let's start with what Saudi is going to offer to Pakistan. First of all, Saudi is going to invest in Pakistan. So investment and funding is going to happen both in the defense sector as well as in the infrastructure sector. So weapon production is also going to happen, and infrastructure building is also going to happen through the funding that will come from Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan's economy is going to benefit from Saudi Arabia's funding. Second, a huge market will also open up for Pakistan, because Saudi Arabia is going to act as a huge market, as a huge buyer for all these defense equipments, weapons that are going to come in from Pakistan. So again, Pakistan's economy is going to boost up. So A, Saudi is going to provide funding, and B, Saudi is also going to act as a huge market for buying all these defense weaponry from Pakistan. And what is Pakistan going to give to Saudi in return? Defense trainers and specialists. Pakistan is going to provide these defense trainers and specialists to transfer the technology. Tech transfer is going to happen. Intelligence sharing is going to happen. Co-production of weapons is going to happen, because both the countries are going to collaborate in research and development and co-produce defense weapons. And Pakistan is also going to host these joint military exercises that we discussed in the beginning. So Pakistan is going to open up its exhaustive terrain of mountains, desert and urban warfare to Saudi Arabia, so that the Saudi troops can come in Pakistan and then they can practice these military exercises. So Pakistan is going to provide intelligence, tech transfer, trainers and specialists, and also host these joint military exercises, and Saudi is majorly going to provide funding and market to boost Pakistan's economy. Now, why do we need to be cautious of this deal? Because of the statements used in this deal. Not a lot of specifics are known of this deal at the moment. It is very nascent right now. But there is a statement which says that any aggression against any partner, which is Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, is going to invite joint deterrence by both the countries. Any aggression, joint deterrence. Now, any aggression in itself is very ambiguous and unclear. What do we mean by any aggression? What kind of an aggression are we talking about here? Is this also going to include cyber warfare? Is it also going to include proxy wars? It is also going to include drone wars? We do not know. Or is it only going to limit itself to the cross-border violence that we see, the physical violence that we see? We do not know. So any aggression in itself is very ambiguous and it opens up gates to a lot of things. Then we say it is going to invite joint deterrence from both the countries. Now this again is very cautious, it's very important because Pakistan is what? It's a nuclear state. One of the partners here is a nuclear state. So what kind of a deterrence are we talking about here? Is this deterrence also going to be nuclear in nature? We do not know. So these things, these are the ambiguities in the statements that are being used in this deal. That is why India needs to closely monitor or study this deal so that we can prepare ourselves for the future, because one of the partners here, it's a nuclear state and anything can happen when it comes to nuclear weapons. That is why we need to be cautious of this deal. Now let us look at the regional context of this deal. So the regional context here, as I already mentioned, is the Gulf state strategic realignment, because up till now US was the main security provider, but US also becomes unreliable at times. That is why these Gulf countries, they need to diversify these options, and in Pakistan they have now got a military and nuclear ally outside of the US, outside of the Western countries also. They now have a military and nuclear ally in the form of Pakistan. Then Israel-Qatar tensions are already there, as I already discussed. So this also tells us how volatile and how high stake is the neighborhood in the Middle East. Then relations with Pakistan. So Saudi already had relations with Pakistan. There were joint military exercises that they were already conducting for decades now. But with this agreement, it becomes more formal and institutionalized. Now they will have proper technological transfer, proper co-production of weapons, proper collaboration in research and development, and buying and selling of defense procurements. So now everything has become institutionalized and formalized through this agreement. And Iran factor is always prevalent in Saudi, because Saudi always has to worry about Iran's presence in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Syria. That is why this deal with Pakistan specifically is also seen as a way of counterbalancing Iran factor in Saudi Arabia. But what can be the potential threats and challenges specifically for India? One, this is going to increase Pakistan's leverage in the region. Now Pakistan has become a direct military and nuclear ally, so Pakistan's leverage in the region is going to increase. Intelligence sharing is happening, technological sharing is happening, they're co-producing weapons, so Pakistan's leverage is going to increase and India's leverage is going to decrease. Even though India has good relations with Saudi Arabia, but with Pakistan, this deal is now a more robust framework, more robust defense framework. So with this, Pakistan's leverage is going to increase, but India's leverage is going to decrease. This can be a potential threat and challenge for India. And again, as I already told you, that Pakistan is a nuclear state, so we need to be very, very cautious of what shape this agreement takes. Right now, we only know that this is going to be used for training and coordination perspective, but we do not know what is going to happen in future because of these ambiguous statements that have been used in the agreement. So only time is going to tell what kind of a shape this agreement is going to take, and based on that, India will have to design its efforts and design its actions. Now, what can be the road ahead? So the road ahead for India is that though we have good ties with Saudi Arabia, but we need to deepen that, we need to strengthen those ties, we need to enhance those arrangements, and with Pakistan also we need to open our ways for dialogue so that we are prepared for any kinds of surprises, so that any move that Pakistan makes, we are not completely taken aback by that. So we need to open our channels of dialogue with Pakistan also, which have been strained especially after Operation Sindoor and the Pahalgam terror attack. So we need to open our bilateral channels with Pakistan also, and with Saudi Arabia we need to deepen our ties. Next, for Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, both these partners, okay, they have entered a deal, great. Now they need to define the limitations of these deals. What is this deal going to do? Will it only limit itself to training and coordination, research and development, or is it going to become a full-fledged military response? So we need to be clear about that. It needs to define the limitations. It needs to define all the ambiguous terms that have been used in the statement. And the region also needs to ensure, the complete Gulf region also needs to ensure that this defense deal is peaceful. It does not turn into any thing that is violent. It does not just increase the instability which is already present in the Middle East or in the South Asian region. It does not increase that volatility. It simply provides peace building activities. So this is what all these countries need to focus on. India also needs to focus on. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia also have their work to do, and the entire region also needs to act as a watchdog to ensure that all these things remain non-violent and peaceful. So that was all for today's video. Even though if not directly, India doesn't need to worry about things, but India definitely needs to be cautious and closely monitor the deal so as to prepare ourselves better for the future. Now let us practice a question for prelims. With reference to the recent Saudi Arabia-Pakistan Defence Agreement, consider the following statements. The agreement includes provisions for joint military training and intelligence sharing. It is likely to enhance Pakistan's defense capabilities with Saudi's investment in its military sector. The agreement may have strategic implications for India's security environment. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Please provide your answers in the comment section and we will meet in the next video.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.